everyone. Welcome to Halloween Cribs, week 2, in which we interview people and they show us their Halloween or horror-related collections. This week, we are joined by K-Tron, MRS columnist, articleist, and all-around fantastic robot.
Enthusiast.
Enthusiast. How you doing today?
Swell and sweaty because it is hot for October.
But
that's okay. We'll make do with what nature has given us.
Absolutely. And so you are a collector of Halloweeny stuff, and as I see the pails behind you.
Oh yes, I just started that collection this year. I think the pandemic just makes me want to buy more stuff. So that's what I've been doing, is definitely acquiring more Halloweeny things.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely not. And I am a collector of Halloween and everything. So I've got a very eclectic, a little bit of everything to show you. Just let me know when to stop because, I could probably just keep going forever. The more I dug through my stuff, the more stuff I was like, ooh, this would be cool to share. So I guess we can start with, besides the pails, I do love fast food and McDonald's and all that weird stuff that they've put out over the years. They have been very Halloweeny, so I do have some of the chicken nuggets in their little costumes from times ago, which you can, disrobe them and put them in other costumes. That one is my favorite because I do love vampires. I also have the Frankenstein.
Yes.
Yes. And I got this one actually this year from a Dinosaur Dracula fun pack. He's a blogger of Halloween and spooky stuff as well, and has a subscription box service. And this was one of the things I got this year just to further my collection.
Oh, nice.
And I do work at a library and will sometimes bring in some of my stuff. I do have a Monster Squad for children, and we did talk about Frankenstein and Dracula and things, so I brought these in to show the kids. And one of them was just in awe at these chicken nuggets. He'd never seen them before because he's like 5, and was just like, they're so cute. And I was almost like, oh, keep it, kid. But then I was like, no, that's mine.
It's funny because I was actually talking to my partner, Jenny, about how those are so complex for kids' toys, like fast food kids' toys. They don't really make them that intricate anymore.
No, I don't think so. Or that self-aware. They don't seem to want to acknowledge the fact that they're feeding you food with faces anymore. And, we can bring that back at any time.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else can I show you? There's something else here. Sorry. This is heavy. I collect books, among many things. So these are from Barnes & Noble. They're Barnes & Noble collectible editions, I think they're called. And they just put out stories that are probably public domain. These are all old horror stories. And this one, they range from about $25, and they're usually on sale. Pretty often you can get them kind of cheap. But they're just pretty. They look good on a shelf. And, if you like books and spooky stuff. And there's several that they have. That's very nice. Poe, nice big one. And they do have the gilded pages. You can see that. The insides usually have a pretty thing. And I have a lot of these, so there's many. And they just look nice. They are pretty cool. I think you can usually get them at half off during Black Friday. So if any of you want to save some cash but continue to expand your bookshelf, you can get those. Pretty cheap. And I don't think I've actually read any of them all the way through. I've just read a couple stories here and there, but they are pretty and they're nice. Books like this, they kind of, you can get them really nice but super expensive, and these are a cheaper alternative for pretty looking book without having to spend $60 on something like that.
Yeah, seriously.
And I think that'll probably be a common theme for my collection is budget. I do like to find stuff and find it cheap. That always makes it extra special when it just comes to you via like yard sale or something.
Makes it more rewarding too, because it's like the gem in the diamond in the rough.
Right. Like, you know, I could spend $70 on it, but if I find it $5 somewhere, that's even better. So these two, I want to show you these, speaking of budget. So look at these cute little Bellas. This one, all right, which hint is which? This one glows in the dark. See, he's good. This one is just regular creepy him. He's got a lot of points of articulation and creepy Bella. You can do in the pose. So these I got from my very first job, which was at a dollar store called Dollar Depot. And that's where these came from. They were $1. I don't know why. They're wonderful little figures. But I've had them for a long time since I was a teen at some point. So yes, these mean a lot to me, even though, you know, they're just stupid little things from the dollar store. They actually look pretty awesome.
Seriously, and for $1, that's pretty great.
They're heavy too. They're not like hollow or something. These are like heavy duty boys. 1999, that's when they were from, just before the millennium hath turned. So I got this dude.
Nice.
Donatello in Dracula form, I suppose. I think he was another thrift store find. And when you start combining my interests in things like this, vampires plus that other thing you like, I definitely have to go and buy that. This one is it's a Jason Voorhees candle.
Whoa.
I had a Freddy. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he got used or what, but I've had this for a long time. Probably from like Job Lot or something. And I think that when you melt him, the paint is probably just all on the outside. But I don't know. He's cool. Probably not an officially licensed dude, but pretty intricate and gross for what he is. This little dude. Do you remember these? Did you ever have one of these as a kid?
Absolutely. Mine have suction cups on their heads, and you can stick them to windows.
Oh, very good. This one I got as a child from a penny candy store. He was probably like, you know, a couple bucks, but definitely remember like, you know, got $5. What are you going to spend it on? Like, all right, you're going to slowly dole out the cash. Like, all right, 5 of these pieces of candy, 1 rubber skeleton, some fake poop, and that other thing. And so he's got sentimental value. And I haven't seen these around. I did for a little while see them with like less rubbery, a little bit more stiff. But this guy has definitely been around for a while. I'll never let him go because he's so cute. And red, he's a red skeleton.
Right?
Let's see. I think I'm going to show you some masks now.
Ooh.
Because as a collector of everything, this is one of those things. Let's see, what do I have? These two I got this year. They're from Walmart, actually.
Oh, nice.
And they're made to look like, you know, the old school decorations. They're very cheap, but I don't think they lasted in the stores for a while. But they'll look really cool hanging up on my wall because look at them, those big grins too. Unfortunately, as a wearer of glasses, you may understand that I can't actually wear masks because I have to keep my specs on. So if it, you know, unless there's magically room under here for my glasses as well, they're more just for decoration.
Yeah, they never take that into account.
So sad. This cool looking thing here.
Ooh.
This cost me $3.99, as you can see from this here. Putrid, is that what this is called? Putrid mask? Okay, it just hangs on my wall. I never actually look at this thing. But cool, detailed, found it at a store of various junk. The tubes, I guess, are supposed to light up. I've never put batteries in it to find out. There is like a little battery case on the bottom, though.
Nice.
But it just looks cool and toxic and COVID appropriate at this moment in time.
Could fit over your glasses, it looks like, too, so.
Maybe if a little bit. It might just be off my face like 3 inches, but that's okay.
It's all about the style.
These are some masks from a handful of years ago that I believe are also at Walmart. Just for a couple bucks. They're super cheap, but they just looked really cool. I like the cheap masks, not just because they are cheap and I am as well, but just because they have a certain style to them. Just kid without a lot of money needs a Halloween costume in like 5 seconds. You grab one of these, you grab a black hoodie or something, and you're all set. And they're just certain charm that they'll never actually like fit a human face well, but they look awesome.
Oh yeah.
And I do actually have an actual gas mask.
What?
Yes, I do. A thrift store find. I'm not sure what era this is from or what war period. I'm definitely not an expert on any of that. It seems like it's missing a piece. There's like a big eye thing here and not on this side. Whether or not it actually works, I don't know. I know you can't breathe very well when inside of it. And it fogs up a lot with your human breath. So, but it's a cool piece. I like to take it out for various things. The library I work at does have a haunted house. Not this year, of course, but we have in the past and have brought it out for that as well. It just looks cool and is a legitimate, nice, real piece. Going to big, giant green stuff. I have this.
Whoa.
Which I can fit in. There we go. Isn't this nice? Can you hear me?
I can.
It's nice and echoey in here. So this is from a costume shop that was closing. Donated it to the library, which we didn't actually have a need for it, so I just eventually took it home. And it is, I'm assuming, some mascotted person would parade around in the tight little spandex that went along with this mask. And I just couldn't pass it up. It's just cool. Mm-hmm. It's gigantic and weird and definitely doesn't fit right. There must have been something inside to make it fit otherwise, because then it just kind of, where's my neck? And you can clearly see my face in here, but that's okay.
Is it paper mache?
No, it's hard plastic. I don't know if this was handmade or what. It must have been made from a mold of some kind. I don't know. There's a little is this like a sip hole in there so you could drink through a straw while you're in this costume? I don't know. But it just sits atop some stuff and looks cool in my house. This mask, I actually made this.
Nice.
This was from the haunted library last year, and it's made of burlap. And I watched a couple online tutorials about it and did wear this for several hours while escorting children through the haunted library maze. But it came out looking really cool without having to do a whole lot of work, just some sewing and having burlap pieces everywhere. But this actually helped me through the pandemic, because wearing this, I had to wear a lot of scarves and stuff over my mouth because the stuff is super itchy and irritating. And I decided, if I can wear this for 6 hours running around while everyone is screaming around me, I could stand wearing a mask here and there and it would be okay. That's a little bit different than the intensity of this thing. And I have this from another previous Halloween costume that I made. Do you know who this is? Who's this? Does he look vaguely familiar?
Is it Squidbilly?
No, this is Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He was in a costume that I made where I was the robot suit that he had, and this was just kind of hanging on my middle and had a box around him that lit up. I don't have the rest of the costume, but I just kept him because he was fun and weird looking. So I do have pieces of costumes past hanging out as well for their memories and for the amount of work that I put into them. I just kind of want to keep them around a little bit. And he's just cute and dangly. I actually took his stuffing out and then stuffed him with stuffed animals for the occasion, just so you can see what he looks like still.
Frankenstein that together.
We do what we got to do. Let me show you this little piece. So this is a ceramic mouse on a jack-o'-lantern. He's definitely taken a beating over the years. He used to have a leg that jauntily stuck out over there. This is something that my parents made in a ceramic class that they took together, perhaps before I was born. I don't know. But it's super cute. They have a couple other things still around, or my mother does, but this one they let me take. It's definitely gotten beat up over the years, but it does look very of its time, very 80s or whenever the heck they took that class. But it's still cool, and I just like the look of it. I've seen stuff similar here and there, so they must have had this kind of mold or whatever, these little pre-painted things hanging out at other ceramic classes at the time. And let's see, what have I got? Another thing that I like to collect is dead stuff. So let me show you some of my dead stuff.
All right.
Yeah. I have this.
Ooh.
A creepy little dead bat. This was a gift. Somebody gave this to me for Christmas, I believe. When people start gifting you dead stuff, that's when you know you finally made it into the hearts and minds of people. It's like, they know me. Look at this. So he's very tiny. He looks very sad. But it is super awesome. I have brought some of these in to show the kids too, and they're like, oh my God. I had one kid ask me, how do you sleep at night? Because I have so much dead stuff. And I was like, I don't think about it, kid, but good question. I have this. This is a death's head hawk moth.
That's
famous
huge.
For the Silence of the Lambs. They are very big. Here's my hand for comparison. They're supposed to have little skulls on their back, and this one kind of does a little bit over there. Thus the death's head. They're supposed to also chirp, and they're just kind of cool, interesting creatures. I got this from the eBay and mounted it myself. That's why it's this wonderful quality of whatever the heck I could find.
The shadow box is lovely.
It is nice. And I have this. Which way do I hold this thing? This way. This way? This way. This is also something that I made with bones that I found. This skeleton, and I do have some other pieces that didn't make it into here. I found at an abandoned house by the side of the road, and this was hanging out on the steps to the basement, as well as a big swan egg that was cracked open. Okay. So it was interesting, whatever the heck this used to be. And some of the pieces are just kind of floating around. This tooth here is supposed to be on the jaw, but I haven't gone in to try to fix any of these. As a tooth down here as well. But it's just, I don't know, I thought it was super cool. I think it might be from a fox or a dog. I didn't have the skull. All I had was the jaw to go by, and it was the shape of it and the size of it. I couldn't quite tell what it would have been. But it was kind of a rural area, so it could have been either one. And this just takes up lots of space in my house, and my significant other is always yelling at me to put the bones somewhere else because I haven't quite put it onto something that could be hung up, so it's just propped up against things. Let me move some of these around. So the next thing I'm going to show you is some stuff that hangs on the wall as well. And I've got one of these. Ooh, are you familiar with these? Did you ever have one of these in your house?
I did. The one I had was the Boston Bruins logo, so it wasn't as cool, but
I had some of these growing up. This is not one of the ones that we had, but I did find this at a yard sale a couple years ago. I believe it is called popcorn plastic, because I guess that's what that looks like, is popcorn. And it is just made of plastic melted together. Definitely seemed to be a thing in the 80s, maybe 70s. probably super toxic to make. I don't think they make these anymore, but you can find them here and there popping up at yard sales or, for stores, that kind of thing. And this one is particularly colorful and nice, and I'm very happy to have found it. And the eyes have glitter in them too, so it's extra cool. And texture. It hasn't been in my place long enough to collect dust, but once it does start doing that, it's probably going to be terrible to try to clean this thing.
All those nooks and crannies.
Oh my goodness. So I do have some die cuts to show you, but I have a couple things to show you before I show the ones that I've purchased that are real. But these I've made over the years. Before I decided to start buying them, I was like, I'm going to make my own. So here's a collage I made right before moving out of my house to put on our wall. And I made it from the newspaper. It's fun and full of construction paper and crayons and silly. There you go. Christ, it's Evangel Zombies, Same-Sex Obituaries, and Miracle Rump Roast. Very spooky.
That's my grindcore band name.
Ooh, wonderful.
Rump Roast.
And I made this as well.
That's amazing.
This is Mr. Spooky, as it says on his belly here. I went to a zombie film fest with my significant other, and going back to the car, we just saw a cat on the side of the road it looked like it lived in a house nearby, and we just pet the heck out of it, and it was super cute. Then I was like, oh, that cat was so adorable, but like, what if it's cold, and what if someone doesn't let it in? What if it dies a terrible death? So to get through those emotions and feelings, I made this Halloween decoration of Mr. Spooky. May he live forever in our souls, whatever happened to him that night. And I did make it out of cardboard and just for fun. And he does still hang out in our apartment. This is a window cling that I got at the dollar store at Dollar Tree a handful of years ago. Why they had this seemingly officially licensed pinhead window cling that I put on my mirror so I can look at it brushing my teeth, I have no idea. But it's pretty, I don't know, it's cool looking. It's got the chains as if, he's coming through whatever window.
So many sights to show us.
Right. To tear my soul apart. I have, before I get to my other cutouts, I do want to show you this record.
Whoa.
The Sounds of Terror. This was something that my father had while I was growing up. And this was what he would put on the record player while we were carving our pumpkins every year. So I was like, I got to find that again. And I did eventually do so at a decent price. So it's got a version of the Monster Mash. I don't think it's by, the original folks, but a version that was pretty good. And the rest are just sounds of scary stuff happening that are pretty intense. There's like a lot of screaming and people being eaten by crabs and mummies like coming out of tombs, that kind of thing. But I never forgot this cover. It is very something. I really love the fingers that are just made of blood and dripping blood to add to all of the blood on this. And the gross dripping blood out of the wolf man back here too.
Nice. It is.
And yes.
It is awesome.
When I opened it, getting it from the mail, I did cut my finger open and it was like bleeding profusely. And I was like, this is very fitting because, I've become the Dracula I always wanted to become. And it is from 1974, a scary product of Pickwick International. So I do have various cutouts. I got the spooky kitty. Look at him. This is one that I know we had as I was a kid. Too many fangs, which makes him extra creepy. The less accurate to the anatomy of the creature, the more frightening it is. These I got from Big Lots or something. They're actually supposed to be ties, like a necktie for a terrible costume. They're made of cardboard. But I just use them to hang up because they're just so weird looking and full of blood. Like, this is not the kind of thing that you would find anymore. Any die cuts that you could possibly find either kind of look like the vintage ones or are less disgusting. Just look at this. Look at the amount of maggots in this and just think, well, that's an amount of maggots. And I think these were made from Russ. I'm not sure. But I've just never seen something quite like them or since. Gone but not forgotten. Oh, wonderful. So I guess this would be another like, oh, I got to go to a Halloween party and I need a cheap costume. This is what I would wear. And I can't imagine that they would last all night because it's just paper and like cheaper than. But that somebody had a stack of these somewhere in a warehouse and it ended up at a store so that I could buy them for like $1 is wonderful.
What a find.
It's a wonderful find. So this is definitely one I had as a kid that I repurchased because I needed this wonderful, very tan Dracula. This was apparently a Eureka. And back when we did the Halloween decorating when I was a child, every kid got to pick out at least one to put in their bedroom or like on the door or something. And this was the one I chose every year, as if, my love of vampires wasn't something that would just happen when I was a brooding teen, but apparently in my youngerhood as well. And I got this one when I bought that one, which was from the same company. Super cute. And apparently, probably my parents bought both at the same time because I do remember we had this one. So not that long ago, I found a big bag of these at Salvation Army or something. This is how much I paid for them. Let me see if you can see that. $4.99 for a giant bag of these die cuts that are hard to find and in nice condition because they're paper. They obviously don't last very long. So I'm going to show you some of the ones that I super love that were in that set. This guy. Look at this.
Whoa.
Look at this Wolfman. This is the most 1970s Wolfman I've ever seen in my life. Look at his paisley shirt, his wristwatch for whatever reason. Just gorgeous. I love it. Most of these do range from like the 70s, a couple from the 60s or maybe late 50s or something. Just what a wonderful find. This super detailed witch. The more detailed these are, just the more fun they are. Because you're just kind of thinking, like, what else could I add? We got rat tails and termite tongues and what else? Hen's teeth, I think, is on the end. Bat warts, yeah.
The frog in the pocket.
Oh, it's so cute. And it's weird. I don't know why. The back of it, which has the like not glossy version, it's just weird symbols on the stuff. So I don't know if there's some witchcraft literally going on here. If anybody knows these hieroglyphics, please let us know. The evil that lurks in my house. This pretty cool looking vampire guy. Something does tell me he's very 1970s for some reason. Nice spats on his shoes and a bat on his shoulder. This one I think must be 60s. It looks a little bit older. Cat on some stuff. The coloring just kind of makes me think that it is an older piece as well. Whoever did own these must have taken nice care of them. Like there's tape marks on the back, but not really on the front. So they must have known what they were doing.
True collectors.
That's right. This little lady who's got some lovely locks going, which are very fragile. Every time I take this out of the plastic, it just loses more. So she may be bald eventually, but super cool. I love the earrings. I love all that detail. This one with this face. This was something that I remember my father drawing often, that like long-nosed guy looking over a wall kind of thing. Very of its time. This one I just love. Look at these little gargoyle guys. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this one. And I love the detail. It does have a signature on here somewhere. Kirk, who I guess is famous in the die cut world for some of the artwork that he must have made for these companies. And it's cool. I don't know. They're like kind of pigs and kind of little devils, and I don't know.
Facial hair. So good.
Right? Oh, it's so good. And then a couple of these, little old school kind of things. Always fun to find. Skeleton's got a secret. What could it be? And some of these ghosts, which I have seen here and there from people, and they are older. They are, how do you say this?
Bestial.
Bestial, they are, yeah. And they glow in the dark, too. And they still glow. I did make sure that they glowed. This one is my favorite because he's like scared of something, and he's a ghost. What could it be? It must be something extra frightening. And the candle is a cool detail.
So good.
So good. And let me show you this other one. I found these as well that are still in the package. I haven't opened them to do anything with them yet. But it's a cool set, a bunch of different ones. The witch in the wheelchair is like so cool. I don't know why, but it's so great. I love it.
Yeah.
And a nice Frankie. A nice little, like big, a little big. They're big and they're little, and you kind of got a good variety. So if you were to purchase this for your house to decorate, you could get pretty far with just this one package of stuff.
Yeah, seriously. The wheelchair in particular, you never really see ghouls in wheelchairs or any type of handicap. So that's pretty.
Right. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, all right, I like this. Let's see, what else do I have? So many things. So one of the other things that I do like to collect is plushies. I like soft, cute, adorable things. And one of the soft, cute, adorable things that I have collected over the years is Gloomy Bear. Are you familiar with Gloomy Bear at all?
I'm not. Please tell me.
So Gloomy Bear is a Japanese character. He's not from like a cartoon or anything in particular. I believe a company hired the artist Morichak just to come up with something, and he came up with this cute yet deadly bear. And the story behind Gloomy Bear is about a little boy named Pitty who finds this cute pink baby bear, and he raises it to be a nice big pink bear, and then the bear just kills the kid in this viciously violent, bloody way because wild animals are wild, and we can't do anything about that. So they've been around for a while. I can't remember exactly when they started, but this one is an older one and tiny and cute. This one does show the kid that Gloomy was raised by, but dead and inside of a Gloomy Bear suit. So these, they're from UFO catchers, which are Japanese claw machines. They work a little bit differently. Instead of having like the big claw, they're just like two-pronged, and they have an oval in the middle that kind of looks like a UFO saucer, thus UFO catcher. And they're prizes. They all say prize only on their tags, but they were sold at places like Newbury Comics and Hot Topic and that kind of thing through like the late 90s when cute but evil was like a really big thing. So as they kept going, they did add blood to them. This one is got his cute little tongue and little bloody claws and things until eventually they just kind of all started coming with the blood. And this kind of fun, this is a different position. I have so many of these in various colors and positions just because they are, I just can't resist. Once you start buying them, then you're like, well, I want that other one that has the collar and even more blood on it. And I've found them at conventions as well, and people that sell anime stuffs. You might be able to find them still. I believe they are still made, but I don't know if they're as abundant anymore.
Now, did the series continue after the first child was murdered by a gloomy bear, or was it just?
I don't think he really did anything besides like an initial animated short that just kind of showed the kid with the bear and then getting eaten by the bear. And I think that was it. Like there wasn't any other things besides just the toys around. So it's just them existing kind of perpetuated the whole thing. And I have this wonderful hat. This is a gloomy bear hat that has the tiny body on the back, which is kind of a great detail. And it's big and it's soft and it does fit kind of well, and I'm not wearing headphones. But super adorable and deadly. I think my significant other wore this to the store once just for fun and freaked out a bunch of kids at Target or something. So as they went on, they did start making special ones. They did Halloween series. So it was like, wow, again, combining all of my interests. This one is a vampire. It's got little fangs and pointy ears, blood, other fun stuff. This one is orange and bright. His eyes glow in the dark. I think his claws might as well.
That's cool.
Isn't that cool? I really like this one for whatever reason. He's a ghost and he's got tiny little ghost arms. I just can't. I don't know. Look at him.
He's adorable.
He's adorable.
A great remix.
And you're kind of thinking like, well, how do you get people to buy the same thing over and over again? Just keep slightly changing it and then you can make magic. Let me see. Hold on. I'll be out of frame. 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of cat hair on this one. Sorry. This is a wonderful Halloween one because he's got pumpkin head, skeleton body, and he does glow in the dark as well.
Such a nice touch to glow in the dark, I feel.
It really is. And when you think about it, glow in the dark really only works for like 30 seconds in select conditions when it used to be bright and then is then dark after that. But for some reason, you just put glow in the dark on anything and people are like, ooh, glow in the dark, you say? Including myself. It is a wonderful gimmick. So I have just a couple more things to show you. Going from cute, we'll go to a little bit more spooky and gross. I have some of these, which are Tortured Souls. They were designed by Clive Barker. I think it was maybe something that the Todd McFarlane people put out. And Clive Barker designed them and kind of had the stories behind each one. He wrote on their boxes about what each of these characters were. But super, very detailed, very gross and pointy. This one is terrible to dust. But cool, and it does stand up, this kind of weird thing. He hooks on one of these. Nice. But it's balanced pretty well, surprisingly, for what it is.
That's the key, I find, is well-balanced toys like that.
And I do like to take stuff out of the box. So sometimes you're like, oh, that looks awesome, but it's definitely, you can tell it was designed to never come out of that box. These, they do stand up well. Yeah, this guy's particularly horrific. Look at all the terrible things happening to him.
The tendons in the leg alone is just shiver-worthy.
Right. It looks good from the back, too, as we all would aspire to. And I like that it's medical, too, like just medicine and that sort of thing just freaks me out in general, so it's extra gross and horrific. And I think there was a couple, like he had a tray somewhere that broke off. They are a little fragile, being what they are. It's a lot of tiny pieces. But I'm surprised that they've held up this long. This is probably late 90s, early 2000s stuff. I was definitely buying them at like Spencer's. And I have, in the same vein, I have this gigantic pinhead. who has the lament configuration somewhere. I couldn't find it, but he is huge and super heavy and pretty. So he can hang out with all of his tortured buddies. Again, if you ever try to dust something like this, just know that it's horrible. You cannot dust this without getting pieces of the duster stuck in it.
It's always funny about Hellraiser is I always find the lament configuration the scariest thing because it's the unknown. It's exactly what's going to happen. Not knowing what's going to happen to you. You know what's happened to others, but you.
That's right, because it's your own personal torment or pleasure or a combination of both. So this guy is another tortured soul, but he's a gigantic one. What? I think they made this small too, but some of them they did make in the very big as well. He's hanging from his face, as you can kind of tell there. He does have a hook in his back as well that is what balances this mostly. But super detailed, super gross. I think his little intestines are in there. They did a few waves of this series. I'm not sure what mine are from. I think the two I showed you were maybe the first or second. But yeah, super gross, hard to dust, but looks pretty awesome.
For real. Wow.
Yep. Ooh, all right, try not to drop him on the floor. Okay, he's okay back there. I think I just have a couple more to show you that are just hanging out next to me. This cool little pumpkin glass mold thing. It's like the glass is stuck in this metal, which is super rusty. So they must have blown the glass into this metal configuration when making it.
That's awesome.
Just kind of a cool piece. I don't know what this metal used to look like. Someone must have left it outside before I found it and purchased it somewhere. So it's completely rusty. I have thought about painting it before, but I'm afraid I'm just going to paint the glass, and it is kind of cool. Rusty anyway. I have used it. There's a little tea light in there. Because, you know, you got to use the stuff that you have too. And I got these, which are those little Funko Pop figures that I do collect some of these. These were from last Halloween, I think, from that very famous Disney cartoon from the 50s. And I just had to buy them because I really do love that animated short. And let me show you these too. So some little... You know, sometimes it's the tiniest things. Your expression is enough to make me so happy. You know, I could show you giant, scary, dead stuff, but then I'll show you like tiny little pumpkin pins that do this. And sometimes it's these little things that you remember as a kid, or you know, you're just so happy to find something like that that you haven't seen in like 15, 20, 30 years, however old you get to be. And it just like brings you back to that Halloween times, and you know, it was different when I was younger, but you just kind of remember where you were and gives you those warm fuzzies, you know, kind of brings you back to that childhood wonder of Halloween where it's still a little bit scary and a little bit exciting. You're going to get candy and then also like be afraid of the bigger kids in their scary costumes.
Oh, absolutely. When I was a kid, we would go through the Halloween section, and my dad would always grab like a scary mask and just wear it. And I would like look at him, he would take one step forward, and then I would run like 5 aisles down.
But you like scary stuff now.
Yeah, you know, he was just grooming me to be the wonderful person I am now, I guess.
That's right. It's conditioning you. So I think that's it. I mean, I could keep going all day, but I think those are the biggest, coolest stuff that I wanted to show you today.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kai. That was wonderful. That was good. Fantastic.
Thank you.
We do have some Hallo'Boogie events coming up. You're doing trivia this week, this Thursday.
8th of October.
8th of October. All right. So yeah, we have Halloween trivia coming up for Hallo'Boogie on the 8th, Thursday at 7. Invite only, so people should contact you, K-Tron at midnightromerosociety.org if they want to participate.
Yep. We'll be talking about horror movies for the first one, and then we do have one later that's all like Halloween traditions and TV specials and stuff. But it'll be horror for our first one, and everything from super old stuff that was ancient times to last year, perhaps. So a little bit of everything. Bring your knowledge, test yourself, and see how cool you are.
Bragging points abound. So
absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kaya, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Again, this is Halloween Cribs weekly series for Hallo'Boogie. To see our upcoming events, visit Hallo'Boogie.com. I'll put a little thing in the description.
Yes.
But thanks, Kaya. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.